Although there are numerous memorization systems, their application for long sequence of items, such as numbers, game cards, lists, etc., always needs a long structure that only the Loci method can provide. No matter which memory technique you're using, when you have to deal with long series of items, you must also apply the Loci method. Therefore, this is an extremely effective method of remembering long lists of information. The Loci method is especially useful when you want to learn a series of items, from words and names to topics to cover in a speech in a particular order. The practical applications of this method are extremely varied, ranging from memorizing long lists to memorizing the order of one or more shuffle decks of playing cards. Have you ever had to remember a list? Whether it was a list of elements, a sequence of numbers, or a grocery list, remembering a list can be tricky if you don't have an efficient way to recall the items from the memory when you need to. Learning how to memorize lists is a great way to improve your learning. In fact, much of what we learn can easily turn into a list. Just by breaking something down in such a way as to make a list of it, you're splitting the concepts up into small pieces or chunks of information. After you have transformed the information into a list, all you have to do is place these items along a mental path from your personal collection by applying the Loci method. Here are some examples of lists that you can easily learn by applying this technique. Shopping list, to-do list, sequence of numbers, poems, ideas, list of jokes, etc. With a sufficiently long journey, you could, for example, remember elements on the periodic table, list of kings and presidents, geographical information, or historical events. A. Meetings. For business meetings, you can use the Loci method to memorize the most important topics you want to discuss with your partners. The first step is to create a memorable image for each topic that you want to discuss at the meeting. It can be the image of a person or object, anything that can remind you of that topic. Then, you associate all the topics you want to learn with the root markers and combine them into one image. When you want to remember these ideas again, you simply go through the root markers in the same sequence and all the words appear in your mind's eye. B. Public speaking. The ability to memorize your speeches and presentations by using the Loci method is an incredibly useful skill in business and social interactions and will increase your self-confidence. You probably heard a lot of times by now that many people rank public speaking higher than death. One of the main reasons for this fear is the worry about forgetting the speech. By using the Loci method, it will be very easy to memorize the important points of speech, or even the entire speech or presentation, and eliminate the fear of forgetting forever. When you're confident of what you have to say, the fear diminishes. Here is how it works. First, divide the speech into short, manageable chunks that are between 2 and 3 sentences long. Second, prepare a journey with specific storage locations in your memory palace or along your route. Third, form a picture for each chunk, then put it in a specific storage location along the journey. The more absurd and unique the image is, the easier it will be to recall it later. In your speech, you need to weave the mental images together. The easiest way to do this is to visualize yourself traveling along various locations, observing the pictures in order. Tip: it's always a good option to create a journey in a logical order across the same room where you are supposed to give a speech. This way, all the stages are visible in front of you, and if you are stuck somewhere for whatever reason, you always can look at the next location in your journey and can immediately recall your next point. To memorize long sequences of playing cards, first of all, you need to learn a technique for memorizing the cards. Then you do some practice. The method is simple. Give the cards identities that you can then link up in the correct sequence. To learn about the playing cards memorization method, I recommend you my Advanced Memory Techniques course, also available on Udemy, where you can find all the methods used by the memory expert in this area. After you have learned the associations between the 52 cards and the code images, you can start memorizing a whole deck of cards. All you need is to create a mental journey that you know well. Depending on the number of cards stored in a single location, there are several types of memory systems for playing cards. One card, one image, major system. You need 52 distinct points on your journey to memorize the whole deck. Two cards, one image, dominant system, person action. You need 26 distinct points on your journey to memorize the whole deck. Three cards, one image, person action object, PAL system. You need 17 distinct points on your journey to memorize the whole deck. 6 cards, one image, bent Pridmore system. You need 9 distinct points in your journey to memorize the whole deck. As systems include multiple cards in an image, the pre-learned code becomes more complex. Tip: for memorizing more decks, use more journeys, one for each deck of cards. In my previous Udemy course, the Practical Memory Techniques course, I presented an extremely effective method for learning a foreign language in a very short time. This method also involves the use of Loci technique. Here is how it works. First, learn the vocabulary using the sound-alike method and the link method. You can find more about these techniques in the Memory Techniques course, Basic Systems, also available on Udemy. Second, use the Loci method to store the learned words. When you are memorizing a large vocabulary, you need somewhere to store everything, a place where words can be accessed quickly and easily. The perfect way to store vast vocabulary is by using a detailed mental map of a town or village. By placing the words into their root locations, you will get a proper and orderly classification of information, so you can easily remember it later. The advantage of using a mental map of your town as your filling system is that you can group various types of words together in different quarters. Nouns can be associated to the most relevant locations. For example, the image coding the foreign word for book could be associated with a book on a shelf in the library. Adjectives can all be put in the park. Words such as green, smelly, bright, small, cold, etc. can be easily related to objects in a park. Action verbs can most easily be associated with a sports center or a playing field. This allows us all the associations of lifting, running, walking, hitting, eating, swimming, driving, etc. It is claimed that using this technique, the basic vocabulary of a foreign language, usually about 1,000 words, can be learned in just 10 hours. As you could see in this lesson, using the Loci method really can make many aspects of your life much easier.